Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. La, 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 la. Oh, sorry, you caught me in the middle of a vocal warm-up. I'm sure that won't come back at any point. Welcome to Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. I'm Eddie French, and I'm here with...
Red Redmond, that is me.
Oh, now you know which one of us is talking. Oh, how you been doing, Red?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yes. All right. Thank you. Yes. I've been doing a lot of gigs, which is nice.
Great. That's awesome. Comedy gigs.
Yes, comedy gigs, comedy, and I could just say comedy, yes, but one of them was improv, so some people don't count that. So that's been good. I've got another one this evening, so it's been quite a busy week. But luckily, I ensure that Thursday mornings are always clear, so that we can do these. How about yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been out and done a couple gigs myself.
Cool.
And I went to the cinema last night to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was good.
Oh,
I've missed good Marvel movies, so I'm very happy today.
Well, that makes a difference from the first two. Did I say that? Was that a hot take I sprinkled in there? Sorry, I just find that Star-Lord actor just insufferable to watch.
Oh yeah, well you won't like the third one then.
No. I didn't like the first two. I get the impression if you like the first two, the third one's very much up your alley, and if you didn't, then
Yeah,
swerve.
I think that's probably fair. That's definitely fair.
I'm fine with it. It's not a problem. They make so many of them. If you don't like one of them, you can just wait around a bit. You're not in any...
That is very true. I've been like super disappointed with the recent output. I wasn't a big fan of the recent Black Panther or the recent Ant-Man. So this was a nice surprise.
Not seen the recent Ant-Man. Did enjoy the first two, so I'll see what the...
Yeah, Ant-Man 1 and 2 are great.
Oh, okay, right.
They're some of the best MCU movies. And the third one is... in fact, I would love... if you go and see it, please do let me know what you think. Cause
I will do. I will do. My tastes are... I mean, some people accuse me of being deliberately contrary, but I can't abide those types of people. So it's not. If I say I like something or I don't like something, I am genuine in it. But I thought I thought Wakanda Forever was okay. Didn't mind it.
It's not as good. Like...
There were loads of bits about
it. First, it's
well, sure, but I really loved the first one, and I thought it was sort of an impossible film to make because of obviously the tragic circumstances and things like that. How do you there was an idea, recast or not, harp on about it or not. Either way, they were going to have a load of people going, "This is preposterous," and so it was kind of. I thought there were some bits in it that I really, really liked. Some
there's
aspects of it, but
there's good bits.
But it wasn't cohesive because I think when you're making a film about grief, you kind of have to be past the grieving process yourself, and I don't know that everybody was.
That's a really, really interesting point. I think that's a very fair.
I think some people consider that to be too generous, but I don't think it can be overstated how you can process it once you've processed it, if you like. Okay, good. Now we're a therapy podcast. Put a question mark on the end, and we're still in roughly the same area. But yeah, so
lovely.
That's
see what you did there.
Yeah, actually, yes. Actually, we got a bit of feedback today on the Facebook page this morning because our ribbed episode came out today.
Okay, yeah.
and very early this morning, so someone was up bright and early listening to the podcast, which we love to hear, and thank you for doing that, really do.
Absolutely.
Said pretty much disagree with all of your takes on this album. Respectfully, they put respectfully disagree. So yeah, but you did redeem yourself with the Wayne's World pronunciation of Milwaukee. So, which I don't remember saying, but sure.
Well, I mean, that is I'm going to take that as a
Oh,
as
absolutely,
praise.
yeah. Oh, I can't say fairer than that. I think that's grand. So yeah, thank you for getting in touch. And you know what? We absolutely understand that if you don't like what we're saying about stuff, that's fine. The
Oh,
respectfully disagreeing is preferable, but disagreeing
ab-
is not discouraged.
absolutely. I mean, like, I think, like, obviously, art is subjective,
Hmm.
but like, we're very accepting that. Look, like, we're not saying that this is like the we're not laying down the law here and
No.
saying this is what this album is. This is just like our personal take on it, and we're really
Hmm.
interested in hearing everyone else's personal takes on the albums.
Absolutely, yes. Well, let's put it this way. I've stated before, my girlfriend is not a NoFX fan, so clearly not enjoying NoFX is not a sort of uh, prohibitor to being someone who I care about. You know, we're not crazy that way. But also, when we were talking about White Trash during that recording, Emma was sat on the sofa that is over there,
Hmm.
um, and I just got a WhatsApp through from her saying, "Oh, that Sticking in My Eye song, I like that one." So
Cool.
we were just reminding people. I go, there's so many of them. There's so many songs. One of them's bound to tick a box for you. But anyway,
I
yeah.
think that we should actually do a bonus episode with our girlfriends, because my girlfriend is also not a fan of NoFX. And
You get
I'd love for them to maybe listen to an album or a few tracks that we put together and hear their take on it, because
maybe we'll
they
put
like
that forward.
NoFX is a band that Kate loves to turn off in the car whenever they come on.
Wow. It was Stu from Face Down.
Yes.
He mentioned that he'd made a playlist for a friend of his, sent it to her, and she sent back this song slaps until it got to Anarchy Camp, and then it was Scar barf emoji. The lady in question, I've forgotten her name, I do apologize. She clipped that bit of audio from the episode and shared that on Instagram and said, "My hatred of Scar is now recorded for forever in posterity." So we've had both opinions of Scar
Yeah,
on
because I
this
mean, like,
podcast so far.
you can't sit on the fence with Scar.
Apparently not. No. Oh, speaking of which, have you seen the film Renfield?
I haven't yet, but it's on my list.
I really really liked it. Nicolas Cage plays Bela Lugosi's Dracula. It's a direct sequel to the old one, but it's set now.
Oh,
And
really? Is that like the idea?
yeah, it's sort of Hammer. It's Hammer
Lovely.
continuity with Renfield, the lawyer, who goes to Dracula in the not Hammer Universal. Did I say Hammer? I'm talking shit. I got a Hammer.
Yeah, it's
I got a
Universal. Yeah.
I got a Christopher Lee Dracula T-shirt the other day. So Hammer's been on my mind. No, it was the Universal Dracula.
Hmm.
Renfield, the lawyer who goes over to visit the Count. He That's Nicholas Holt's character.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So, but then they find themselves in modern day LA after the premise is that they're in modern day LA because Dracula keeps on getting Renfield to go and get him prey. And then every
Hmm.
so often he goes, actually, I'll go and get my own, and lays waste to a village, and then they have to move. And they've slowly worked their way across Europe, and then now they've come to the New World. So, yeah. And
Brilliant.
yes, it's really, really good fun. It's it's got a lot of everything, everywhere, all at once energy. Like not really similar
Oh,
films,
okay.
but the sort of
Interesting.
the frenetic energy in the action sequences reminded me of that. So, but yeah, huge amount of
Mm.
fun. If you want to see Nick Cage, just I mean, you might think he's putting the brakes on, but he's really, really enjoying this. He's
Yeah,
having a
yeah, yeah.
wonderful time. This is he either overacts or underacts. This is definitely it's maybe slightly more restrained than Vampire's Kiss,
Sure,
the one where
sure.
the meme comes from. Yeah, it's tremendous, tremendous fun. But there is a sort of a running joke regarding Scar.
Oh, brilliant! Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I need to
yeah,
watch
yeah.
it now.
It's yeah, it's very very funny, and I think only Emma and I. It wasn't a very full um cinema, but only Emma and I were really heavily laughing at that one. I think everyone else was slightly less familiar with the much maligned genre. Although, actually, getting back to the matter in hand, not a great deal of Scar present on Punk in Drublic.
No, I
It,
mean, obviously you've got Rico.
you've got
Um,
Rico, and you've got a little bit in Dig.
yeah, yeah, but it's not, because I've also I will admit, like I've listened to Punk and Drublic over the past week, but I've also I went ahead and listened to So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes,
Oh yes,
which does have a large amount of
that's got a huge
Scar on it.
amount. Yeah, you skipped Heavy
Um,
Petting Zoo.
I did, yeah. What a prick.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But no, I mean, to be honest, between the two, I'd always and also that's not the homework, so I'd always listen to "So Long, Thanks for All the Shoes," which is a lot scarier, absolutely. But well, I think we've whetted the appetites enough, so we'll leave the intro for now. If you have anything to say about any of the films that we've spoken about, or indeed this album, punkrockelitepodcast at gmail.com. And do get in touch, or through the Facebook or Insta. Yes, we're on Facebook, but we are old, so sue us. We'll be sharing some top quality boomer conspiracies on there later on, because I'm pretty sure that Joe Biden is the CIA operative who's causing NOFX to stop touring. So, and we'll share good reasons as to that later. So enjoy them. But we'll see you in the main body. And here we are, Punk in Drublic. This is going to be interesting because this is the one that people think of a lot of the time.
Absolutely. I mean, like, this could potentially be, one of the more popular episodes, just with it being
Yeah,
arguably the most popular NoFX album.
I would think so. Yeah, absolutely. 6 years after its release, it became gold, sold 500,000 copies in 6 years. And I think it's probably worldwide sold over 1 million copies,
Oh, okay, sure, sure.
which is quite a small amount considering the number of people I know who own it.
Well, I imagine it is one of those albums that has been pirated to death.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it will be. But there comes a certain time in everyone's life when they think this tape that already had something else recorded on it needs to be, and you just stump it up, don't you? But anyway, um, yeah, it's the longest one so far, 40 minutes.
Yeah, we were chatting about this before
Yes.
recording, but I mean, the the song length on all
Mm,
of the songs is still pretty short. There's only one song over 3 minutes, apart from the final track, which obviously has a secret track on the end.
yes.
But
Yeah.
it
So
is 17 tracks. That is a lot of tracks.
it is. It's the most helpings of no effects you get in one go. But then there are songs like the Quars, Jeff Ware's, Birkenstocks, and
Hmm.
Punk Guy that don't even make it to 1.5 minutes.
Yes, very true. I
And
suppose, like, on a re-listen, I was surprised because I didn't remember it being 17 tracks long.
no, well, things like the Quas and Dying Degree sort of blend together as
Yeah.
one. They're sort of parts 1 and 2 of the same thing. So you could argue maybe that's just a single track,
Hmm.
but even then, I think I don't think there's very long spaces in between the songs,
Yeah.
which can make a massive difference. Sometimes there'll be like a couple of moments of silence at the end of a track, and then the album breathes a little bit. This feels a lot more, get to the end
Absolutely. And
kind of
I
thing.
think one of the things that, like, first hits me with this album is, look, I know, at this point Hefe's been in the band a while. He's
Mm.
done the EP A Longest Line, and then White Trash, and now Punk in Drublic. But I think what
And,
I'm really
I'd
struck
imagine,
by,
I'd imagine a big chunk of touring off the back of both of those as well.
Of course, of course. But what I'm really struck by is like it doesn't feel like there's ever like a buffer period where Hefe is learning how to fit into the band. Across all of those three albums, he's like he feels like he is very much firmly a part of NoFX's DNA from the
Yeah,
start.
yeah. He feels permanent the moment he comes in,
Yeah.
and I. It's difficult to say whether Dave Casillas and Steve Kidweiler felt that way because we know that they weren't. So it's hard to sort of
Hmm.
get that vibe. But yeah, it feels cohesive sort of straight away, and possibly more so on this one, partly
Yeah.
because they're sort of not they're not putting in the sort of very obvious showcases like they did on Longest Line, White Trash. You know, we've got some all of the Hefe elements are used a little more sparingly, or like the sort of atypical punk elements that Hefe brings.
Hmm.
You know, there's not a huge amount of trumpet on this one. There's very little ska we were talking about. You know, and
Yeah.
the voice. You know, he's not singing in any accents, which he does three of in White Trash because
Yeah.
he's doing his sort of Mexican voice in Johnny Appleseed. He's doing the jazz voice in Straight Edge. He's doing the 20s voice in Bugly Eyes.
Is there a little bit of voice in? Is it? I feel like it's one of the earlier tracks. Is it in Dig? Um, the
Oh, he does My Heart Is Yearning.
of
For
course, yeah.
you. He does that thing, and then the impressions, which I don't count because they're just he does the hell, it was even more punk than me. Which he changes, for live and stuff, does his different impressions. And then he does a load of them at the end. That's what the secret track is. Him trying different takes of He Was Even More Punk Than Me.
Yeah, because when I was listening to this album, I was driving to a gig,
Hmm.
and I've got Waze, the app, which is like a sat nav app,
Mm-hmm.
and it got to the final track, and my Waze app talks over the album, like if I'm listening to an album. So like it was switching between like Bear Left and then like Hefe just doing like a Daffy Duck impression or something.
Yeah. Bear Left, and then Popeye tells you that he's more punk than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so I think the sort of Hefe's presence is less showcased in a less sort of flagrant way, and
Hmm.
is more just a part of it, if you like, because he's got that lovely little guitar solo in Rico, the sort of bluesy number
Yeah.
just before it goes punk. Um, he's got the silly voice and the trumpet in My Heart Is Yearning.
Hmm.
And outside of that, it's very much sort of more, straight up. Well, basically, we've got the fat sound now is what we're looking at.
What's the song about what's your definition of freedom? Is that
Oh,
is
that
that Dig?
is Perfect Government.
Right. I was thinking, was that one? Because that's written by Mark Curry, who
Yes,
Hefe was in a band with previously.
yes, and Mark Curry actually sings the opening lines of that.
Right, because that's what I thought that might have been Hefe doing a funny voice.
No, Hefe does it live because he can do an
Right.
impression of Mark Curry, but they were friends with Mark Curry, so they got him in to do that. Uh, and he sings it just like he does on his version, which is a
Hmm.
much more acoustic, sort of, laid back kind of vibe. But yeah, no, Hefe sings it live like that in the Mark Curry's voice, but because that,
Lovely.
according, the personnel on here, yeah.
And like obviously, super excited because this is one of the albums that we're going to hear start to finish at the Leeds show on
Yes,
26th of May.
26th of May, which may have happened by now. I haven't got a look at the thing, but if not, we might squeeze it out before. Actually, we might do, because it would be nice to have one of the albums that we're actually going to see. Which ones are we seeing? We're seeing this one and Wolves. We definitely won't make it in time for Wolves.
No worries.
We've got a long way away, but we might be able to get this one out. And I think that there's a lot of people, I suspect, who might have been giving our podcast a chance, and we thank them for it. Thank you very much if
Absolutely.
you have done that. But we're sort of waiting for one of the bigger hitters, because there's always going to be people who are like white trash forever, and we respect that. But even those people have to admit that Punk in Drublic is sort of the one, the first biggie.
I mean, we haven't even mentioned it yet, but it starts with Linoleum.
It does, which I think Fat Mike has said he thinks that's why people think it's their best one.
Yeah. I mean, like for me personally, it's not my favorite album of theirs, but it's certainly up there. And I think now I know I've said, I feel like it's generally considered that Punk in Drublic is NoFX's best or most popular album. I think, it's also probably universally agreed that Linoleum is their most popular song.
I think it's their most iconic song.
Okay,
I'd be happy to say that. I mean, obviously, best we don't know. Favorite, it's a lot of people's favorites. There's something. It's so fast. That riff is so simple, and also the moment it starts, you go, oh, if you watch, and there are plenty of them, watch like bands who aren't NoFX going, oh, this is a cover song, or you might recognize this one, and just that, the audience go, oh, we know what's happening now. It's 2 minutes long. It's got all of the good stuff that you want out of a NoFX punk number. Maybe not the Mel yell, which is a shame. But it's showing off Eric Sandin doing what he does so brilliantly. That all of that stuff, and it's got the harmonies. It's got the big long bit where everything drops away except for one muted guitar doing the sing-alongy bits. It's got a slower bit when it comes back in, and then it goes back to full pelt before the end, and it wraps it all up in 2 minutes without ever seemingly repeating a section of the song. And
absolutely.
So it's like quintessential NoFX, really.
Absolutely agree. And also, I know we've already mentioned this on the show before, but like NoFX clearly, the first track on each of their albums is usually one of the strongest. And I think here they're like really perfecting that craft because, I mean, obviously, as you've mentioned, this is arguably NoFX's most iconic song. And I think it's just really interesting that it's the opening track because, so many of the strongest tracks from each of the album are the opening track. And, they just love to start strong.
Yeah. I mean, they wrote a literal sequel to this song.
Linoleum.
Linoleum. Yeah, absolutely. It's literally a sequel to a song.
It's also, I was listening to, is it First Ditch Attempt?
First Ditch Effort, I think.
That's it. Yes, sorry. First Ditch Effort.
Yes.
And on Oxymoron, they call back to Linoleum. One of the lines is, linoleum is the floor I'm on. I'm an oxymoron. So like, it's very much in the lexicon of like, NoFX fans, and like they know that they can play with it and refer to it. It's lovely.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, it's also mentioned in a song by Le Tigre.
Oh, really?
Yes, I've forgotten the name of it, but it says something about linoleum is stupid, or so. It slags it off because Kathleen Hanna and Fat Mike have had words in the past.
Fair enough. I like both.
Yeah, no, so do I. I mean, it's on the So Long song, Kill Rock Stars. So is it?
Cool.
What's the name of the song called? Is it called Kill Rock Stars? It might be. But that was her label, and he felt that she was man hating to a fault, and specifically pointed out, I think it was something to do with like how NoFX were like a sort of a fratty band or something, and I'm like,
Oh, right.
they sort of are and they sort of aren't. It's they're a strange hinterland.
Yeah.
It's with NoFX and stuff like that. It's like trying to figure out the politics of South Park. It's like, well, you're not going to get a proper answer, so you might as well not bang your head against the wall all day trying to work it out. Just accept not all of it's going to be for you. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sort of ultimately, I think overall a force for good, but what's ever been a purely force for good? We're getting ahead of ourselves. I think interestingly, Linoleum's one of those songs that's like a super fan favorite without having been a single. Not that NoFX are really a single kind of band, but they released 2 singles off of this. They released Don't Call Me White and Leave It Alone.
Oh, okay. So Linoleum, that's so
Yep.
odd to me.
Linoleum, not a single. And Leave It Alone was released in 1995. So they released. So that was. So this. So okay, well, we'll do this. It was recorded between sort of 93 and 94. So, and because it was released in July, I'm going to guess it was probably like a December through to January kind of period of time. It doesn't specify on Wikipedia. And they released Don't Call Me White in May. Oh, actually, they released Don't Call Me White on the 11th of May, 1994, which is today, the day we're recording it. So,
yeah.
So that was 29 years ago.
Wow.
Fuck me. 20. I feel a bit sick. 20. Oh God. Kurt Cobain was still alive, I think. Maybe he wasn't. So 29 years ago today, Don't Call Me White was released as a single before the 19th of July, 1994, when Punk in Drublic was released, the full album. And then it just says 1995, Leave It Alone. So well after this was released, they released Leave It Alone as a single. You'd have thought Linoleum would have been a surefire pick, but no, Leave It Alone. Leave It Alone, notably the only song written by Fat Mike and Eric Melvin.
Yes.
On this.
Yeah. And also, like, Leave It Alone is one of my favorite NoFX tracks. And on a re-listen, like, I know when people think of Punk in Drublic, they immediately think of Linoleum. It's the opening track. It's, one of NoFX's biggest tracks ever. But for me, like, Leave It Alone is a real standout on this album. And I think that modifying the question that we ask all of our guests a little bit, when we ask them, how would you get someone into NoFX? If it was a bit stricter and you had one track to play someone to get across what NoFX are, I would potentially choose Leave It Alone.
Gosh, because that's a sort of it's quite fast, but it doesn't have that, the double kick. It's got more of a sort of a mod
point, yeah.
drum beat. It's like pit'em, 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 rather than bum, chip, chip, bum, chip, bum, chip. For any musicians out there, you'll know that was accurate and good, rather than just noise. But yeah, it's so it's a bit. It's got the harmonies are great. They actually made a video. It's got the na-na-nas, which turns up in. I think there's a song in So Long where they actually have right at the end, quite low in the mix, another da na 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 ending, which is quite cool. And I think what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Oh yeah, it was what they actually made a video for it.
Yes, I've heard this. I've not seen it, but I've heard.
It's them playing in a house.
Fair.
Some people skateboard outside the house. Hefe pulls a funny face when he's doing backing vocals. It's pretty standard. Yeah, it's nothing. Because I did a video for Sticking in My Eye as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think these were all like sort of. I assume Epitaph footed the bill for those ones. Thinking, look, this is all well and good, lads, but we could do with a few more of these being sold. We have paid for you to record them, which is a fair position to be in, really.
They're not really a band I think of when it comes to music videos. There's probably
No.
only a handful of them that I'm familiar with. Maybe like the first being like Franco on American.
Yes,
And
which
then...
they don't feature in. Which
yeah,
because
because it's just
it's
like
an animation.
animated.
The
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
Drag as well. That was animated as well. They did one for Oxymoronic.
Well, I'm pretty sure they did a video for every track on that album, or at least like a lot of
Did
tracks
they?
on that album. Because they did that one. They did 6 Years on Dope.
Oh, they did do that one. Yeah,
Um,
that one was good.
I thought it was at a time when they weren't able to tour, so they just put out a load of music videos. But maybe I'm misremembering.
No, that was First Ditch Effort. There were videos for everything because there's
But those are on First Ditch Effort.
no, not First Ditch Effort, single album.
Okay, sure,
Sorry.
sure, that makes sense.
I got confused. Yeah, I think those. Yeah, because there's the one where they're all committing suicide. I love you more than I hate me, or something like that. Oh, was it Derby crashing your part? It's one of those. Yeah, Melvin just drops face forward into the swimming pool and stuff like that. So I think they did videos for those ones because they were earthbound at the time. So I mean, already we're starting. I mean, to be honest, this one takes up. I said last time, White Trash, it was 7 songs before I looked at the skip button.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I get to the 6th song and I start to think about skipping. To be honest,
sure. I mean, it's a novelty song, isn't it?
My heart is yearning. Yes, I don't want to skip over the others because we've got Dig, The Cause, which is catchy as fuck.
Yeah, on a re-listen, I was like, of course. How had I forgotten this one?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Super catchy. I like Dig a lot. Dig has got a little bit of a ska breakdown with a trombonist played by Chris Dowd of Fishbone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And haven't they just haven't they just released like a double album with Fishbone?
No, they've released a song, just one song. It was a Fishbone song that already existed. But they've recorded a new version where NOFX join in and it turns into a punk song at the end. It's sort of about police brutality and racism and all this kind of stuff, and then and so it starts off like pure classic Fishbone, and then NOFX join in at the end.
Lovely.
It's pretty good. I've forgotten what it's called. It's got a cool pun name that makes sense. I've totally forgotten it. Anyway, you can find it. Fishbone NOFX. There's only one song out there, but it's good. It's good. So, yep. So, The Cause, super catchy. Dig, which is about finding stuff and stealing it for a museum, which as 2 people from the UK, we wouldn't know anything about. We've literally just had the coronation of his sausage ship, King Charles, and he was just festooned with other people's gems.
It was so funny.
It was, because it's like a child playing in your mum's like jewelry box, like a little kid putting them on, going, "Look, I am a pretty lady now." Yeah, gosh, yeah, dear.
And it's just you can tell he hated all of it. Like, we threw this like crazy expensive party so that he could sit on a golden chair and put a special hat on.
Yeah,
and he didn't enjoy a minute of it.
No, and do you know what? that actually increases my opinion of him just a little bit, because I'm like, if he'd have been sat there like, I deserve this, I'd be like, oh, you piece of shit. The fact he's going, oh my God, I'm cringing my own arsehole inside out. You go, yeah, well, okay, I can relate to that concept. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. There's some human in there somewhere. But yeah, so that, I think this, that's sort of a weird thing to write about in a way, if you think about their contemporaries. But maybe because this album was heavily influenced by How to Clean Everything by Propaganda.
Okay, yeah.
In the sound, in the sort of the hardcore, but the melody, and the hardcore and the melody combined to make all of that, and the fact that Propaganda was singing about animal rights, about anti-capitalist stuff. So maybe that broadened the scope. Mind you, bands they like Bad Religion, had been singing about social issues and things, and there always have been, but maybe it was amped up a bit here.
You know what I was thinking the other day?
Go on.
In fact, maybe you'd be able to help me as you're more knowledgeable of the genre than me.
Sure.
Have Bad Religion ever done a ska number?
I am going to say absolutely not.
Because that would be hilarious.
I mean, it would.
Can you imagine?
I just the sheer sort of eyebrows down glare of Greg Graffin telling you to pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
Jamaican Jesus.
Yeah, Jamaican Jesus. Yeah, no, ska, Bad Religion. I mean, there's Mad Caddies did a cover of Sorrow on their Punk Rock Steady covers album.
Cool.
They did a cover of Propaganda as well. They did, I can't remember which one it was, but they did a Propaganda cover in ska, which is super impressive, which I think Mike suggested they do just to annoy Propaganda, because they have a very much a love-hate relationship to Fat Mike and Propaganda, which we may get into on another occasion.
Yes.
In fact, big shout out to Unscripted Moments, the podcast about Propaganda. Sent us a very nice, encouraging message saying that they were really, really enjoying it. So hello to them, and do listen to them if that sounds like a good idea, which I would say that it is. They've got so many episodes, so you can have a nice deep dive on that. But yeah, so I think maybe spreading out a little bit more, and then Don't Call Me White. Got to mention that one, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's hard to imagine NOFX without this track. Because I know we've spoken a lot about Linoleum and Leave It Alone and how they're sort of like quintessential NOFX tracks.
Yeah.
And I think that this is, potentially another track that's kind of adjacent to that. I put this in a similar group as Murder the Government.
Yep.
And I don't know. It's just another quintessential NOFX track, but also it feels quite unique within their sound.
Yes, it is. Well, it sort of starts off, just the big crashes and the sort of the hanging chords and stuff, and then sort of all of the instruments are sort of stripped away except for the drums, and then just the little and there's a lot of sort of suspense. I think there's a lot of drama in the song and the way it's sort of arranged. Also, it's a song with a standard songwriting structure. Verse, or sort of starts with the chorus, then verse, chorus, verse, chorus, and then a bridge at the end, and then a final chorus.
Yeah, which is very unusual for NOFX. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Didn't you say like Linoleum? It kind of doesn't have a chorus. It kind of uses a bridge as a chorus.
Yeah. There's no bit that repeats particularly. Melodically, chord-wise, a tiny variation maybe, but yeah, it's if you had to point out what the chorus is, if you were a stickler for it, you could say linoleum.
Yeah,
but that enough to be a chorus? It's certainly enough for a lot of people to scream it all at once. So is that, but then NoFX have never really had. They've never been sticklers for that kind of thing. I mean, Leave It Alone, ironically, has quite a standard. Has a verse, chorus, verse, differential, but. Hello everyone, Eddie here. Red and I hope you're enjoying our show. If you have been and would like to help us make it a little more easily, then you can donate to us at our Ko-fi page, which is ko-fi.com/punkrockelite, or you can look in the show notes for our link tree. If you can't help us financially, we totally understand, but would love it if you spread the word to other people who would like this podcast. We thank you for your continued support. We massively appreciate it. Back to the show. Don't Call Me White. I think that certainly Linoleum and Don't Call Me White are likely to be two of the every show songs.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think I've even seen them and they've not played The Bruise.
Oh, absolutely. I've definitely seen them without playing.
Even though I consider that to be a sort of a must-have on a NoFX set list.
It's not really a song that I'd paid attention to much until our chat with Karina Denike the other week. And obviously for her, it is one of her favorite NoFX tracks.
Yeah.
And I think she made a really good point, which made me revisit it, where she was like, oh, if you just sort of like hear it off the cuff, you might just think it's just like NoFX doing an Oi song. But actually, if you take a look at the lyrics, it's a lot more than that. And I have done that in the last couple of days whilst researching for this episode. And it I didn't know what the song was about, essentially. I've learned a lot. And it is really interesting when you have that insight.
Yeah. Well, that's where you've got, Hefe doing the "Come on, you schmucks, one more time for Heuschel" stuff in it, and and that stuff. And it's I think because Mike has said he's a fan of Oi music, and it's difficult because it wasn't designed to be for racists, but
No, absolutely not.
I assume racists can just about get their heads around the word "oi," so they can sing along with it. Maybe, but but it's also sort of quite aggro. It's like very sort of aggressive to just shout "oi" at someone. It's not nice. If someone shouts "oi" at you in the street, it's not. You don't go, "Oh, they want to talk." So it's quite an abrasive thing. And so to have that, and I suppose, how do you rationalize your love of a kind of music that would have a lot of people involved who dislike you for your for an accident of birth? Well, you just turn it into music for you, which is
absolutely
a very DIY thing.
To explain for anybody who was as clueless as me, the Bruise is it's an Oi song that NoFX has written, which is largely about the Jewish experience, I guess.
Or a fictional Jewish skinhead crew.
Which,
it's about
it's sort of like it has the humorous elements that we're used to of NoFX, but also like there's something quite sort of powerful about it. We're the Bruise supporting anti-swastika tattoos.
Yeah, we will go out and kick your head in if you try stuff with us, but we do have to be back to observe Shabbat. It's and I love that. That's really, really spot on my humor, and I found that really, really funny sort of thing. But it is well, it's interesting actually. On a similar note, you're familiar with the horrible band Screwdriver?
Absolutely, yeah. Well,
yeah,
unfortunately,
with the stupid dead bitch who couldn't do his car properly. I've forgotten his name, but it doesn't matter. The singer, but there is
Plan B. Huh? Plan B got cancelled after he wore a Screwdriver T-shirt to a photo shoot.
Fucking.
He claims he didn't know who they were, but
well, that's very possible. But come on. bit of, I mean, yeah, obviously, I mean, if you take away all of the stuff we know about screwdriver with a K, all right, it looks kind of like a cool word. I get it. I'm not blind to these things, but once you know the rest of it, well, like the first album was like an apolitical thing, and they had a different singer. And so some people go, well, the first Screwdriver album, and a lot of those people I look at with one eyebrow raised, waiting for them to go. And obviously after that, Dreadful, and you go, oh, all right, fine, yeah. But and so yeah, it just sounded like a lot of punk that was around at the time. That first
Absolutely,
one,
yeah.
and then the singer got annoyed with the worst guy, and just said, "Look, I'm not," because the bad guy, the worst guy, was just like, "Oh, we should start doing this kind of thing and this kind of thing, and look at these lyrics I've written." And the original singer was like, "I think I'm gonna go," and then left Screwdriver to become what they became. But there is the drummer from Operation Ivy, who I believe is called Dave Mello. Yes, I think that's his name. He is in a band called Jew Driver, who cover Screwdriver songs and change the lyrics to be pro-Jewish. When I found that out, I was like, that's brilliant. And unfortunately, it doesn't really work because I don't know any Screwdriver songs. Like, I've read some of the lyrics and stuff, but I've not listened to them. And so it wouldn't work like a Weird Al situation, because I wouldn't understand why that's particularly funny. I might agree with the sentiment, but yeah, anyway. So there's.
I think it must be good though if you were a fan of Screwdriver and then they came out as racists. Well, now you can go and enjoy their music guilt free.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. So if you're one of those people who's like, goes, oh, and then I realised how wrong I was to be so prejudiced about this. But some of those songs slap. You go, well, here you go, have these ones. You go, oh, thank you. So that's good. But the yes, on the we'll skip forward to the Bruise while we're on it. But yeah, the gang vocals in the Bruise is a group they've named the New Jew Review. That's the official name for the gang vocalists, and I believe one of them was Lynn Strait from Snot, who probably died fairly soon after this, I think. But yeah, lots and lots of Jews in the punk scene were brought in to Oi Oi and that. I think I'm sure there's a list of, or a partial list of them somewhere online. I beg your pardon, can't find it, but I don't think they've ever put out like a full list. It's just their friends who have the appropriate lineage. But yeah, I love the Bruise. I think it's great. Really weird guitar sound on the Bruise.
Yeah.
When it starts off, it's got that really, really gnarly sounding thing. It's like that would be so heavy if it was EQ'd differently, but it's.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, there's this album's a little bit all over the place. I mean, like, I think it sounds cohesive and consistent and great and brilliant, but like there are a lot of different types of NOFX songs. The Bruise, I think, is again quite a unique sounding song when compared to the rest of their catalog, and I think you can say the same for a lot of songs on here.
Yes, I agree. There are some that well, they've never really done a song that sounds like My Heart Is Yearning. And I'm fine with that, but but yeah, and I suppose Rico's a little bit similar, but that's sort of more straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, like they've both got like the walking bass lines, haven't they?
Yeah, they've both got that sort of little jazz thing in there, but strange. Well, there's like steel drums on My Heart Is Yearning and stuff like that right at the end, which makes it sound like the Monkey Island soundtrack. It always, and I'm a big fan of the Monkey Island video games, and I managed not to bring that up in the episode with Karina because Gavin, the drummer from Dancehall Crashers, currently does the voice of Stan in the last two Monkey Island games. Yeah, managed to. I mean, obviously, you can all tell me just how calm and collected I was in that episode. I remember it as being absolutely not. But I managed not to not to bore her with the story of what a drummer that she last worked with, possibly getting on for 20 years ago, is doing now in a field that she may not have any interest in. So I think I was doing okay. But yeah, that was on the list of things I told myself I shouldn't bring up. But I've managed to bring it up now.
If I had to guess a video game which more than one member of NoFX has played, it would probably be a Monkey Island game.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just feel like Eric Melvin sat down and played Monkey Island.
You feel like they're old school point and clicks. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, just the just those bring gink 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 noises give me real Melee Island opening screen vibes,
Yeah.
which is possibly where when I was first listening to this, the nerd I was trying not to be, and the punk I wanted to be. I was like, there's a tiny little bit in here. Oh, there's just a little nicotine patch on the arm of that. So yeah, lovely stuff. Yeah, Perfect Government. I really really like.
Yes.
And they play that one a lot as well live. That's yeah, really really good. I also recommend, if you've not heard the Mark Curry version, go out and have a listen, because it is really really good.
I actually haven't heard that, so I definitely need to give that a listen. And I think Perfect Government is another song where Hefe really shines through.
Oh yeah, his guitar work on it's lovely. And he also gets to sing "How Do They Sleep at Night." That's his little solo bit at the in the muted guitar bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, really great stuff. Yeah, the Quas and Dying Degree, I kind of put together, like I said earlier.
Well, funnily enough, when I was listening to this album, I kind of like, when the Quas started, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the Quas. Oh, interesting. Like I think the really interesting guitar arrangement. I think it's brilliant.
The harmonies are great.
A minute and a half goes by. I look down and it says Dying Degree on the track listing, and I'm like, oh, has the Quas ended? Is this a new track?
There's a track that does similar on Nimrod by Green Day. I think it's like Jinx and Hashinka.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are sort of the same thing. Or like Insomniac with Brain Stew and Jaded. They sort of just run them into one another. I always like it when songs do that. I just sort of, it's nice to have that kind of thing, because you have that thing that they do that with Together on the Sand and Nowhere. They like to have these songs that sort of merge, they're like crossfaded through one another, which is interesting and a nice thing to do. So yeah, Dying Degree again. I really like them, but they don't sort of stand out, and I think that's just a testament to the quality of the other songs on the album, rather than them not being particularly good.
No, because they are solid tracks, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I really really like them. I think. Yeah, and I think the Quas is really, really good. The harmonies, it's really sort of menacing and daunting sounding, very sort of minor key and sort of quite heavy. And then Dying Degree sort of like flies out of it like a phoenix, and it feels really, really similar. Leading to a song which I'm not that fussed about. I don't know, Fleas. I don't know, how do you feel about that one?
Yeah, I mean, like, I will admit, of all of the tracks so far, this is one that I don't really have much recollection of. I'm sure I didn't hate it, otherwise I would have. Yeah, it would have stood out. But it's just another perfectly reasonable, decent album track.
Yeah, I think it's got the hook. Follow what I say, not what I've done. That's catchy. It's not a skip, but it's not one if they weren't to play. I mean, I know we're going to be seeing all of these songs, and I'm sure live it'll be great. But it's one, if I went to see NoFX before they were quitting touring times and they didn't play Fleas, I wouldn't be inconsolable.
Fair.
But then we get to a song which, Laurie Myers.
Now, didn't you pick this as your favorite NoFX song?
I think I did, yeah.
And on a re-listen of this album, is it your favorite track on the album? Does it really stand out?
I think it might be, yeah. I think it's got the speed and instant recognition of Linoleum,
Mm-hmm.
because it just starts all at once. You know, super catchy octave chord work. The guitar, everything sounds amazing. The drums are 1,000 miles an hour, and just I think it's possibly the best mix on the
Yeah.
album. Like, you can hear everything so clearly, so perfectly. And I also like the fact that Mike's vocal take is different to the printed lyrics, because of presumably how he just delivered it when he did it. But it sounds really, really good. It's Kim Shattuck's vocals on this are just so good. Like when she starts off, because it has all the drama of that weird discord, that brown, that's an F sharp minor chord with some weird accentation on it that is just hanging there with the drums still going clattering in the background. Really, really just fantastic that way. And then it goes into that slow chugging, and the guitars are so heavy on this. Like, the production's like metal, and her voice on it is just astonishing. And then, yeah, the only thing. Oh, my one criticism is that it's a fade out.
Ah, fair. I hadn't noticed that, and not something to expect of NoFX.
No, I didn't mention this, but it's just reminded me. There's a fade out on "Kill All the White Man."
There is, yeah.
But they also finish the song properly halfway down a fade out. It's the weirdest choice I've ever heard. Go and listen to the end of "Kill All the White Man" right now, and it just starts slowly fading out. And I don't care for fade outs as a song thing, right? I sort of listening to it, and then they stop, and you can hear them.
Oh, it does, yeah.
It's so weird. Yeah, sorry, that should have been in a previous episode, but it's my thing about fade outs. I sort of, because the thing is that they end it amazingly when they play it live, and they also fade it out just by playing their instruments lighter when they're playing it, and then they come back in for like dun 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 bam. I'm like, come on, lads, where was that when you were recording it? Where was that 30 years ago? That's fine. It's fine. But yeah, so yeah, but that's the only criticism. And you know what? In the grand scheme of things, I'd much rather live in a world where we had Laurie Myers as we do now than not have it at all. So yeah,
absolutely.
Beautiful.
And I think I think this part of the album is quite interesting because obviously we're 12, 13 tracks deep now. And usually their albums are rarely even that many tracks in length.
Yeah.
And it feels like the album hits a second wind around this point. I think Laurie Myers and Jeff Ware's Birkenstocks are two of the strongest tracks on the album. And it pumps a little bit of life back into the album as we enter its final act.
Yes. Jeff Ware's Birkenstocks. I think you're a bigger fan of it than I am. It's fine. I like the shuffly little Status Quo riff at the beginning, and stuff like that. But again, we've got a story of a person who may or may not be real, but they usually are. And it's this kind of exciting, sort of story. Is Mike making this up, or are they real, or who? And on Wikipedia, there's some notes, and it says the song "Jeff Wears Birkenstocks" was written about Jeff Abata, an Epitaph Records employee. So in 2017, the Birkenstock Company produced a short-form documentary about how the song came together that includes new interviews with the subject with Jeff and Fat Mike.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Jeff later founded a band called Punk is Dead that performs punk rock covers of Grateful Dead songs, and currently plays bass in Total Massacre as Jeff Massacre.
And I think it, like it is a, it's a bit of a NOFX signature to write these songs about just some guy in the punk scene at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of like Punk in Drublic's "I'm Telling Tim."
Yeah, absolutely. Tim Yohannan, I think his name was. Yeah, and I'm Telling Tim is one of my absolute favourites. Musically, melodically, it's just great. But yeah, Jeff wears Birkenstocks, nice and snappy, keep it short, not as short, however, as the album's shortest song, which is Punk Guy.
I will admit I have no memory of Punk Guy or Happy Guy.
Punk Guy is the one with the impression at the end. Oh, hell, he was even more punk than me.
Oh, of course, yeah.
This one is one of Mike's love letters to punk rock. Crazier than Gigi, more PC than Ian. So it's like crazier than Gigi Allen, more PC than Ian Mackay. It's it's a list of famous punks, and this guy is more whatever they are than all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fun. I think it's possibly about posers. It's possibly about people who try to be that and stuff. But it's a minute long, rapid fire little love letter to punk, and a sort of a semi love letter to the posers that are found in it, to my ears anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy Guy, yeah, I like it. It's a weird, don't try to judge him, he's just a man. It's just about a guy who's happy with his lot in life, even though his life's kind of boring, but he's doing all right. It's kind of sweet, really.
I will be honest and say, I can kind of take or leave these two tracks.
I'm not fussed about Happy Guy so much, but Punk Guy I really like. And now we're in Endgame. It's sort of a low-key ending of this album, because we've got Rico, which is a sort of reggae-ish feeling song about a sort of a hangover, sort of like, the party's over, there's just a mess in a house after a party.
Yeah, and it, again, I know we've mentioned it, but with the lack of ska and reggae influence on the album, I think this one really stands out. And I mean, Rico is one of my, I love to see this track live. I think it's really great in their live set, because I think it sort of punctuates a different tempo to a lot of their other tunes.
Yeah.
So I love it when they play songs like this and Eat the Meek, and just something that like slows it down for a few minutes. It's it's a song that I'm very favourable towards. I'm pretty sure it features on their greatest hits.
I would think so.
It's a song that I've been familiar with for a long time, and I kind of intrigued that it's not the last track on the album.
It feels like Scavenger Type is a secret track, even though there's a secret track after it.
Yeah,
because it is so weird. I really like it. I think it's a really nice song, but having an acoustic song is pretty rare in the whole oeuvre. And again, I think it's I don't know who it's about, but our protagonist named Bill. But is that a real Bill? It could be. But yeah, no one did see him die. That's the last. That's the last line of the album. It's pretty bleak, but yeah, there's something. I really like the guitar sound on it, and it's just a little sort of upstroke chucked acoustic guitar. But yeah, I do. It does stick in the mind though.
Yes, absolutely. And again, normally secret tracks are tracks, but this is just a collection of
Outtakes.
impressions and
Yep.
silly voices.
Well, the one on So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes is Mike sort of playing the guitar, playing an unplugged electric guitar, just like on his lap, just like and to a dictaphone, like just sort of humming the some of the songs. It's like a collection of like little demo-y bits.
Ah, clever.
And so they put that kind of thing on. I think there's one album, the secret track is Howard Stern slagging them off.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, listening to the Drugs Are Good song, which was an EP only. And I think it was even before Mike took drugs. So, but yeah, and he's just listening to it going, what's it? NOFX? No talent, more like.
Of course, yeah, no, I remember that quote.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, so yeah, interesting. The cover's interesting because it looks like it's just sort of found images put together.
Oh, is that what it is?
I think so. It looks like it because it doesn't say who designed it on the thing. So yeah, I think it's sort of like these were things cut out of a book or something. And
That's interesting.
yeah,
Because and I do think this is for me anyway, like I think this is NoFX's most iconic album artwork.
yeah, it probably is, to be fair. Yeah, absolutely. They're not ones for putting themselves on the cover. There's not going to be like a Blue Album Weezer style thing, or if they are, it's very rare that they're sort of very clear photographs. But
they're on the NOFX.
Yes, they are with
Drugs
Don
Are
Ho.
Good.
Yeah,
on it. But yeah, it's a very silly novelty photo.
Yeah, and that's also a 7-inch, I think. So that's just that kind of thing. But yeah, so according to Kerrang, it's still NoFX's most successful album to date, peaking at number 12 on Billboard's Heat Seekers chart.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what that is. Live in the UK. I've heard Billboard charts all the time. I'm like, were they on top of the pops? I don't know. It's I haven't got a clue. But oh wow, okay. So All Music reviewed the album, gave it 4.5 stars. So the quartet didn't change their approach at all. I mean, they did. At their core, they remain a heavy, speed-addled, hook-conscious, post-hardcore punk group. But their songwriting has improved, as has their attack. Attack, that's a fairly nebulous word. But yeah, it goes on to say that apparently the album was a big influence on Cheshire Cat by Blink-182.
Yep.
Oz Factor by Unwritten Law. Let's Talk About Feelings by Lagwagon. Sum 41's All Killer No Filler. don't hear it myself. And Anti-Flag's The General Strike, which was released in 2012.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, what? I don't know where that's coming from. So all right, fine. Yeah, I also found out that it appears in Kerrang's 51 greatest pop punk albums of all time.
Yeah, and it's ranked quite highly.
Yes, I'm going to give you the top 10 here. I've got this open. Number 10 in the Kerrang's greatest. This was made in 2017. So, number 10, The Wonder Years, Suburbia, I've Given You All and Now I'm Nothing, from 2011. Number 9 is A Day to Remember.
Okay, it's one of these lists.
Yeah, Homesick, 2009. Number 8 is All We Know Is Falling by Paramore, from 2005. Number 7 is Smash by The Offspring, 1994. Number 6 is Punk In Drublic by NoFX, 1994.
Yay.
Number 5, Rock and Roll High School by the Ramones, 1979.
Oh, okay. Would you consider that pop punk?
Who knows what Kerrang are thinking? The thing is, right, is Ramones are sort of their own genre now. Like, Ramones core is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Queers and Teenage Bottle Rocket and the Lillingtons and Screeching Weasel and stuff. It's like that. Ramones core is considered a thing. Anyway, number 4, Milo Goes to College by the Descendants from 1982.
Interesting.
I mean, that is definitely pop punk as anything.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Sticks and Stones by Newfound Glory, 2002. I mean, I said the same. Not my favourite. Number 2, Dookie by Green Day, 1994. Can't argue that one, really. Well, you can, because number 1, Enema of the State by Blink-182, 1999. Yep.
Wow. Well, I mean, it is, like, look, there is an argument to be made that Enema of the State is like the most quintessential pop punk album.
Sure.
In terms of what the genre became commercially,
Sure.
I think it's its recognition worldwide is a little bit undeniable. But it's.
I sort of think that they've got the definition of pop punk not in the least bit nailed down.
Yeah,
these parameters are so wide open that it sort of doesn't really work.
Yes,
if you know what I mean. Like if it was all things like the Queers and all those kind of things, that Lookout sound, then I'd go, okay, I understand, because then you'd understand why Descendants were in there and all that kind of stuff. But it's sort of, I think, did Kerrang just mean American punk?
They might do.
Is that what they're doing? American punk from 1990 onwards? Because that's what it seemed. Oh, I know they've got the Ramones in there. They've got an album from 1979 in there, which is.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by the Ramones inclusion, because I mean it just predates pop punk. Like at that time, it was punk. Like it was released.
Yeah, it was just punk, no prefix or suffix. Yeah, but anyway, I just thought that was an interesting take on what Punk in Drublic was about. So, yeah, Punk in Drublic. My favourite record we've covered so far.
Ah, really?
Yes, I like it more than White Trash. And I like White Trash more than all the others.
I think I might agree. Yeah.
And again, it's just favourite. Don't at me.
I think
it's the one I like the most.
I know it's nowhere near as long, but I do think the longest line for me is a bit more consistent. But
I'm talking about full lengths.
Yeah, in terms of full lengths, then I think it's definitely the best.
Longest line is an EP, and there are lots of debates we can have about the EPs and stuff, and that's all cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be a bit less Kerrang about it and have a bit more of a consistent set of parameters to work within. Although I imagine Kerrang would want those sweet clicks, so throw a is that really pop punk album in there and get a good debate going online, because that's really going to drive it. Oh no, I've just revealed the awful truth. Never mind. Yeah, so absolutely, I think this one is. Does it deserve to be the most lauded?
I think there are albums later in their discography which slightly one-up it.
Yep.
I mean, I re-listened to First Ditch Effort the other night, and it is pretty incredible in terms of like songwriting. Like they've come a real long way.
It's one of my favorites. When First Ditch Effort came out, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Proper excited by it. Yeah, really loved it. I think I absolutely get why the band that only 2 records ago put out Ribbed, bring out this. That's a shift, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is.
You go, whoa, something's happening here. So maybe contextually and of the time, that's why it became that way, and they may not have had such a big shift in such a small length of time since. That's very possible.
Well, I think also it's one of those albums, like I'm a big Smashing Pumpkins fan.
You are,
not a Billy Corgan fan because he's a bit of a prick, but I love the band and how they sound. And there is something inescapable when discussing Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, because when it came out, it was just it was just so relevant and so of its time. And if you were a teenager at that time, it's difficult to see any other Smashing Pumpkins album as eclipsing it. But
Yeah.
I think there are better albums, but due to when it came out, and depending on what age you were when it did come out, I think it makes a lot of sense why it is, held in such high regard.
I think it being a double album as well, because it's
Yes.
sort of an investment, and you also get to, and I'm not saying that all Smashing Pumpkins fans would do this, but wallow in it. You know what I mean? You've got 2 full CDs, and they're not like, and it's not like this one's 30 minutes and this one's 30 minutes. They're nearly they're nearly longer than CDs had capacity for. Those
Absolutely.
there's a huge amount of music. You've got a whole evening. You do that album twice in your bedroom after school. You've not got any evening left. That's fully taken up. It's like watching Lord of the Rings or some shit. It's
And I believe, haven't they just, I mean, not that I've listened to it, I think they've just released a triple album.
I don't know. I've not heard anything
They-
about what the Smashing Pumpkins are up to.
Pretty certain this year they have released a triple album,
Wow.
which seems unnecessary, particularly because I've only heard one track off of this album. I've heard their first single, and it was shit. So, 3 albums of that.
Oh no. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm excited. The 2 recent Rancid teasers they've dropped for their new album, they're both great.
Well, I liked Rancid's. It's not their new album now, but they released new music about 7 years ago, and I thought that was pretty solid.
It wasn't my favorite, but this one, I'm really digging it. Tomorrow Never Comes, and that one that's like 56 seconds long. And it feels like Let's Go and Rancid 2000 having a little fight. And I was like, all right, Rancid, okay. So, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's what they were worried about. Oh, my God. Someone in the UK isn't as thrilled about our recent stuff as they were about our stuff from the 90s and early noughties. We'd better do something. But anyway, it's turned out that way. So, yeah. Cool. Well, let's wrap this up in the outro. This has been Punk in Drublic. We'll see you on the other side of this music. Well, what do you think people are going to make of our hot takes?
I think there's going to be a real mix, isn't there? I think there's going to be some listening to this episode that have completely disagreed with us.
Yeah. I hope so. It would be frightfully dull for people to just give us a series of thumbs up. That's not the way you discuss anything, So, yeah, that'll be interesting.
And we are super interested in what your takes are on this album. We're not sat here. The title of this podcast is ironic.
Yes.
When we say it's called Punk Rock Elite, that's just because it's the name of a NOFX song.
Yeah.
We're not sat here telling you what to think about this album.
It's the same reason we primarily release on Mondays. Monday is my favorite time of year. We're just sprinkling in little nods here and there because they amuse us. But yeah, I think there'll definitely be some people who take umbrage. There'll be some people who think we pretty much got it spot on, and there'll be all those in the middle, I guess. And do let us know, punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com, or find us on Insta or the Facebook page or anything like that. I hope that it will help people to maybe listen to it again with some fresh ears. I think when you hear other people's perspectives on what they think makes the album a good thing, then it sort of opens your eyes to other aspects of it, and you go, I hadn't even considered that, and that's interesting. And because sometimes you listen to a discussion about a particular album and someone comes up with a perspective you're not familiar with, and you go, oh, that's actually something. And then you might even find, who knows, I might even enjoy Fleas a bit more. No, I do like Fleas, it's fine. But yeah, this is the first album we've done which I've had a sort of a long established previous sort of relationship with.
Yeah. And it's been fun to deep dive into that, because obviously we've previously looked at albums that we're not as familiar with. I would love if we could do an episode on I Heard They Suck Live next.
We can absolutely do I Heard They Suck Live. I was thinking we could do Heard They Suck Live and They've Gotten Even Worse Live as a double header.
Yeah, we could. I mean, like, they're
with
quite
a side
long
by side comparison.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, no, that might be fun. Actually, yeah. When did they've actually gotten worse live come out?
That came out in 2007, so 12 years later.
Ah, okay, sure.
Oh no, yep. 12 years later. It was released in November of 2007, and 1995, August 95, they released Heard They Suck Live. I don't think they've got any of the same songs.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I believe that Smelly's wife does the vocals on Laurie Myers.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And what's quite funny is... oh, no, we'll save the tidbits for that for later. But yeah, that's just... you get one free tidbit on this, and then the rest of it you'll have to wait for. But... yeah, let's do the 2 live albums. I know Ribbed Live in a Dive, but that's a bit different. And the Decline Live and all that stuff, we'll do that when we cover the Decline, which we will.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, let's do the live albums next time. I think that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We've had a great time. Always a pleasure to listen to Punk in Drublic. I hope you got something out of it. punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com. Tell us just how badly we've missed the mark. We're always happy to hear it. But yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you so much, Red.
Thank you so much, Eddie.
Oh, you're welcome, of course. And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to Punk Rock Elite. It was a Pick Scraped and Fruitcake co-production by Eddie French and Red Redmond. If you're not following us on Instagram or subscribed to the podcast, please do. The main theme and production was done by Eddie French. Please contact us at punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.